So the calcium that we need to make this all happen comes from the sarcoplasmic reticulum found within the sarcomeres. Sarcoplasmic reticulum. Sarco, by the way, means soft tissue. Sarco means soft tissue. Sarcoplasmic reticulum. Remember our cell, nucleus, mitochondria, then there's this little squiggly thing in the cell called the endoplasmic reticulum. It's the digestive system, pretty much. All right? So the sarcoplasmic reticulum is where we store calcium to be used over here to cause this to happen. Here's the T-tubule, a tubule. You guys are sarcomeres. Got actin-myosin. Okay, I'm calcium. I'm right here. Are you guys going to contract at this point? No. No. So what happens if calcium comes flooding in? You guys do your thing, right? And then once the work is done, calcium leaves the scene and goes back to the sarcoplasmic reticulum and waits for the next time. But as I leave, what's happening to you guys? You're relaxing because there's no more stimulation to contract. Neuromuscular junction. That med term says what to you? Neuromuscular. Nerve meets the muscle. Nerve meets the muscle. And we said it takes electricity to stimulate muscles to contract. So we've got to say that there's got to be a nerve that touches the muscle someplace to make it contract. Neuromuscular junction. On page 145 or 141, it starts talking about it, but I want to refer you to the page 142, and it shows you what looks to be kind of a funky-looking mushroom sitting above a river. You see it there? Okay. Neuromuscular junction. 141, wasn't it? Yeah, 142 is the picture. 141 is where it starts talking about it. So we have a nerve, we have a musicle, okay? The musicle has little areas here called receptor sites. Okay, it has receptor sites. Or I could actually make them round. Depends on what's going in the garage. Okay, so the little garage is in the muscle. What usually gets put in the garage? A car. If you have a little garage, can you put a big car in there? No. You got a big garage, you can put a big car and a little car in. But the whole idea here is, with this being the nerve, and this being the muscle down here, is my nerve actually touching the muscle? No. There's a space between it. The space is called a cleft. We'll talk about it when we get into the nervous system as well. Synapse. You've all heard the word synapse? Okay. At the distal end of the nerve, there are little vesicles full of a chemical called acetylcholine. Acetylcholine, ACH is abbreviated, acetylcholine. The acetylcholine is the chemical, the neurotransmitter. This is a neurotransmitter, something that transmits the electrical impulse. So as the impulse comes down the nerve to move your muscle, it pushes these little vesicles forward, and they spill out their acetylcholine. The acetylcholine is the chemical that carries the electrical charge, and it finds a receptor to go into. And when the acetylcholine enters those receptors of a muscle, it discharges the impulse to cause the muscle to work. Nerves and muscles, apples and oranges. Can we ever mix the two? Yeah, you can squeeze them and make apple-orange juice if you want to. So we can't take electricity and zap the muscle with it, we burn it. So we have to have a chemical that comes down to deliver the message to the muscle that says, I'm acetylcholine. Guess what? You guys are supposed to contract. And then once the muscle contracts, the acetylcholine is destroyed, so we don't overstimulate the muscle. More acetylcholine is made, another impulse comes down, the whole reflex thing starts again. Does that make sense? How many of y'all been to Corpus? Or Aransas? How do you get from one to the other without driving? A ferry. Okay, good. I say this all the time. People say, I got 1,000 people in Port Aransas that want to get to Corpus Christi. I've got a boat that will hold 100 people. How long would it take me to get 1,000 people across with one boat for 100? It takes about an hour to go there and come back. Okay, so how long would it take me to transport 1,000 people if I have a boat that'll hold 100? And it takes an hour each trip, 10 hours. That's pretty damn slow, isn't it? All right, so what do I need in order to transport 1,000 people very quickly at the same time? More boats. Acetylcholine is the boat. Acetylcholine is the boat. If I have 100 boats, then I can get people over real quick. If I have 10 boats, I can get them over quicker than if I only had one boat. Do you agree? So if we have enough acetylcholine, if we have enough boats to transport the people from one side to the other side, it gets there very quickly. So if I have enough acetylcholine meeting the muscle at the same time, I get a normal movement. What would happen if I only had one boat? What would happen if I only had half the acetylcholine? Is my muscle going to move like this? No, it's going to move like this. Because it takes a longer time. There's not enough acetylcholine to stimulate it completely. What if I don't have any acetylcholine? It ain't going to move. Right? So acetylcholine is the transferring mechanism to get the electricity to the muscle in a quick period of time so that we can do what we want to do. What would happen? I got too much acetylcholine. Woohoo! Okay? It's going to be like that. Too much. Too fast. Hyperreflexia. Hyperkinesia. Right? Too much. So I got to get rid of some acetylcholine until I'm back to normal. If I get rid of too much, kind of like in New York. Walk along, boom! Whoa. Okay, so they're a little slow on everything up there. So the picture says, again, it takes electricity to stimulate a muscle. Yes? Does the electricity actually reach the muscle? No. What carries the message to the muscle to contract from the electricity? Acetylcholine, or a neurotransmitter chemical. We're talking about acetylcholine. So, I'm electrical impulse. This is as close as I can get. You take a message. She takes the message. Move. They move. All right? The electricity can't hit the muscle, otherwise we're eating barbecue. So it has to be brought over by chemical. Any questions so far? What are the two proteins necessary to draw muscle fibers together? Actin and myosin. Myosin is the stable one. It rotates to shrink the sarcomeres. What does it take for actin and myosin to do this? Calcium. How does calcium get signaled to come down here? Through electricity or acetylcholine tells it to pump into the sarcomere, cause this to happen and contract the muscle. Yeehaw, it's Friday. I know everybody's muscles are itching to get the heck out of here. Okay, you can keep your skeleton skin on Monday. I will go over the muscles on Mr. Meathead so we know